Welcome back. You're watching the Daily Report with me, George Maringa. My guest is still Embakasi East Member of Parliament, Babu Owino. Thank you, Mahesh, for staying with us. Let me go through some of the feedback here. There is an MP who admitted that the MPs were bribed to pass the bill in statehouse. We Gen Z are tired of these rogue leaders. From the time Ruto took leadership, he has been a tourist together with his ministers, wasting people's money. Don't quite see your name, but go ahead and continue sending your question or feedback regarding the same. Mheshimiwa, when you look at the type of generation that you're dealing with, the electorate, when you go to your constituency, I wonder, what are some of the things that the Gen Z have told you they want to see?
You know, Maringa, first of all, if I must comment on the issue of the bribery.
Yes.
That member of parliament is a Kenya Kwanza member of parliament.
Yes.
Right, and we all heard what he said, that they were being offered money. At least when he himself is saying that, it tells you a lot about what is happening, the rot that is in Kenya Kwanza government. And I can clearly tell you that there's a big problem in parliament, because you saw the last parliament, people were being bribed with even 10,000 Kenya shillings, 30,000 to 10,000 Kenya shillings. You remember the sugar bill?
Yes.
The sugar bill?
Yeah, the sugar bill.
You saw what happened? It was really, really, really embarrassing.
Was that true though?
It was true. It was true. So I can clearly tell you that that member of parliament is saying the truth. And I've said that members of parliament, they have one last chance to redeem themselves tomorrow by voting no and rejecting this bill. The Gen Zs have serious problems, just like other Kenyans have. The Gen Zs right now, majority of them are in campus, right?
Yes.
There is this idea of the new funding model for the university. Maringa, Ruto is telling us that a social science course is costing 300,000 Kenya shillings. If you go for 4 years, somebody must part with 1.2 million Kenya shillings to do a whole course. If the person is doing a medical course, medicine, that is 600,000 per year. Times 6 years, 3.6 million Kenya shillings. To that mama mboga, who is selling mboga and coming home with only 100 shillings per day, in 30 days, the mama mboga makes 3,000 Kenya shillings.
Yeah.
In a month, 3,000 Kenya shillings. 3,000 Kenya shillings times 12 in a year, that's going to be 36,000 Kenya shillings. In a whole year, how many years will you want to accumulate to get only 300,000 Kenya shillings that is being required in a university? Mind you, this person has other children to take to school, has rent to pay, has food to buy, has clothing, has transport to take care of, right? So, you want to tell me that the mama mboga that you promised job, that you said that once you get into office, will graduate from having a kiosk into owning a supermarket, this mama mboga cannot take a child to the university because you've raised the fee for this mama mboga? A person who's constructing, a person who is doing construction earns 600 shillings per day. If this person is working for 30 days non-stop, including Sundays, then it will be 600 times 30, which is 18,000.
Yes.
18,000 times 12 in a year, that is 216,000 Kenya shillings in a year. Working non-stop, 24 hours, without resting, you can still not afford to pay the 300,000 that is being required. So the Gen Zs, majority of them are in universities. Majority of them have finished universities, right? They are going through that difficult moment where they hear their parents on a daily basis struggling. At the same time, the cost of living is high. For the middle class, the disposable income, the money that they earn after paying taxes, that money is constant, the expenses increases.
Yes.
The moment expenses are increasing, this disposable income cannot sustain these expenses. For those who are not employed, how much suffering do they meet? There's problem because of high cost of living. There's a problem because the same Gen Zs, after finishing universities, they were promised jobs. They don't get jobs.
Okay.
You could see the other day, the doctors, the intern doctors, look at how they are being mistreated. Look at that. Look at the JSS teachers. Even confirmation as permanent and pensionable, they can't be confirmed. They are being told they are interns, earning 17,000 Kenya shillings. What will you do with that? Will you manage to pay all your bills with that? No. So by the end of the day, these are people who are promised jobs.
Okay.
These are people who are still undergoing education, the process, and there is no fee. There is high cost of education. If you go to the health industry, these are people who are going to hospitals. There is high cost of medication in this country, right? Such that if you go to Mama Lucy Hospital today, and you don't have 1,000 Kenya shillings, and you need to be admitted, you will not be admitted in that hospital. The other time you saw the Embakasi fire victims, the gas explosion, when they were taken to Mama Lucy, they were only given Piriton to go and sleep more. Imagine. That's so. They were prescribing medicine and telling them, go and buy in the outside chemists. But we are being told that there is leadership. There's the government, there's the county government. What are they doing, honestly speaking? So these are people who are experiencing the normal challenges that Kenyans are experiencing. And the only difference is that the Gen Zs have decided and said that enough is enough. We will not see more than this. We have to shape our future. We have to do it, and we will do it right. And I can tell you, during the COVID time, I used to teach these Gen Zs. You could see. These were my students, right? And because of the mathematics and the chemistry that I taught them, now, from tomorrow, from last week when they were starting the maandamanos, you could easily tell how they were using chemistry, right, to know the components of tear gas, right? And the tear gas, you know, it contains, it is chloropicrin or phenacyl chloride. The components, they know that there's benzene there, they know that there's nitrogen there, they know that there's chlorine there, and they know how to work around it, and they've gotten a neutralizer to neutralize this tear gas. At the same time, they know that Babu told us that distance is equal to speed times time. They know the speed of one police officer carrying a gun and a rungu, and they know how to skive them, to pepper them, you know, and they know which vector to take, whether that vector has magnitude, and it is not a null vector, it is not a zero vector. So they make me so proud, because now as their mentor, they are even doing better than me. So I'm really, really excited about this team. So generally, the Gen Zs are experiencing the same challenges Kenyans are experiencing, the same problems Kenyans are experiencing. But they've decided to say enough is enough. And we give it up to them.
Brilliant. So with this, you've mentioned, the health issues. And first of all, what, happened to your impeachment motion that you had tabled, or you were angling to table against the CS?
Let me tell you, the moment the impeachment motion for Linturi failed, the CS Linturi failed, then the juice was not worth the squeeze anymore. Because we members of parliament, we voted for a ad hoc committee to be formed for the impeachment of a CS. Then there was conflict of interest. Number one, why were the same members of parliament chosen to form a ad hoc committee that was going to investigate the said CS about the matters fertilizer? Then the same committee comes out and says that only 7 members of parliament, this one for the first time, the Kenya Kwanza government and the opposition government majority voted in favor of the ad hoc committee to be formed for the impeachment. Then 7 members of parliament, they come and say that, you know what, whatever decision you made on this floor of parliament, we don't respect it. Then they said that this CS should go scot-free, that the CS was innocent. So therefore, what was the need of me pushing the other one? What was the need of me pushing it? If you know that those 7 people are still the ones who are going to rescue that CS, right? So I leave it in the hands of the Gen Zs to deal with them, to occupy their minds and their hearts and their bodies and wherever they are, their offices and wherever they are.
By the way, what do you make of the transition to SHIF?
Let me tell you, this is just another plot. It is just another new way, because NHIF has been having so much issues, right? So it is just another way to fraudulently obtain money from Kenyans, but clothing it nicely. Actually, there is no big difference between these two things. That is what I can tell you. But it is just a cloth thing that is telling you that, you know what, more money should be paid into this thing because this is a new one. Mm-hmm. This is a new one with the old characters in it, same thieves in it. Mm-hmm. So it is just fraud, misrepresentation of facts.
So the more things change, the more they remain the same, is what you're saying?
The more things change, the more they remain the same, because the monkeys are the same in the new or the old forest.
Okay. So when you look at, your colleagues, their numbers, their information was published on social media platforms by these Gen Zs. When you listen to the circles, first of all, they are public officers, they serve Kenyans. What were some of the conversations that happened, especially in the circles of MPs like yourself, in terms of the numbers that were published online and how these Gen Zs are dealing, with these leaders that they elected?
Maringa, when I was doing a presidential campaign for Baba Raila Amolo Odinga,
yes,
in every ward that I went to, in every constituency that I went to, in every county that I went to, I left my number.
Okay.
I've never changed this number from the time I joined the University of Nairobi in the year 2008. Mm-hmm. To date, I've never changed my number. My number is in the public domain. I don't see any problem if our numbers are shared in public. We are public officers. How then do we want to help Kenyans if we don't want them to reach us? Mm-hmm. These are people who have challenges, who have problems that need solutions. The yoke of responsibility rests solely on my shoulders,
yes,
to ensure that our people get the services that they deserve. Mm-hmm. So why should I be so scared as a member of parliament that my number is in the public domain? Mm-hmm. Then why did I want this job? And it is not illegal for a number of any member of parliament or a public officer to be in the public, because that is the only easiest way for a member of the public, for a common mwananchi to reach you. So for me, it made me happy. Mm-hmm. For me, it was the best, because why do you want to run away from the people? Mm-hmm. Why is it that during campaigns, you are going to look for these people? Why is it that when these people are looking for you, now is a problem? You want to complain. So some of the members of parliament didn't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Of course, maybe some had a problem with it. That is now their own cup of tea. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Brilliant. And so when you mentioned Raila Odinga, have you had a conversation with him about these protests, and what is his view about it?
This is what Baba would have advocated for, and it is what he's advocating for, and this is what he loves, because Baba's always fought for the interests of people. Mm-hmm. Baba is one man who started fighting for the people and against the government, and many governments for that matter. And if you ask me, Baba is a proud man wherever he is now. In his house, anywhere he is, Baba is a proud man. And these Gen Zs are making him proud. This is how Baba used to be when Baba was a youth. And this is how still Baba is at his age.
Okay.
This is how he is. That is what that man is. And that is why most of us, we believe in him, because of his ideology. Yes.
Brilliant. And so the members of parliament who voted yes, belonging to your party, belonging to your coalition, have the party instituted legal or any disciplinary action against them?
The party must do so. Party has structures.
Okay.
There's a structure on how to communicate about such issues.
Yes.
The Secretary General, Senator Edwin Sifuna, communicated clearly about what will happen to these members of parliament. And this should be implemented as fast as possible, because they are doing what does not resonate with the party's ideology.
Okay.
So I think that the leadership of the party should be in a position to handle.
Okay. Nice. So the issue that has cropped up, especially in the last 72 hours, especially after Thursday, is the abductions. As the Member of Parliament for Embakasi East constituency, as Babu Owino, as the leader of this country, first of all, what is your reaction and your message, especially to the government or whoever is doing this?
Maringa, as Babu have been abducted severally, I can't advocate for that. It's really not good. It's really disturbing, because the only crime you've committed is to stand up for your own right and for the rights of other Kenyans.
Yes.
The only crime you have committed is to tell the government that, you know what, this finance bill is not okay. Ruto did say when he was being sworn in that these extrajudicial killings and arbitrary arrests, political arrests, shall not take place. Ruto did say during the burial of Ogola, General Ogola, that there will be no more political arrests. Right? But what does Ruto say? If he's not flying, then he is lying.
Okay.
Or if he's flying, he is lying at the same time. Right? So he lied to us once again because we can see the abductions. There's a time they abducted me for 3 days without producing me in any competent court of law, infringing on my rights, violation of my rights. They are violating the rights of other Kenyans, right to picket, right to demonstrate, right to express an opinion, right? So it does not, should it mean that if you have an opinion and your opinion is differing from the government's opinion, then you should be punished? That should not be the case. The government instead, Ruto should instead use that as a learning lesson. And I can tell him, Mr. President, a fly that does not listen to an advice will accompany a corpse to the grave and they will be buried together. I will repeat. A fly that does not take an advice or listen to an advice will accompany a corpse or a dead body to the grave and they'll be buried together. So you better listen. Listen to the cries of the people. These are the people whom you are calling hustlers. Listen to these hustlers. They are sending you warning shots. Before it's too late, listen to them. Because these abductions, we will highly condemn them. You will abduct 1 or 2, but you shall not finish them. They are more than you. They are more than the police officers. They are more than the members of the military. They are more than you. And we are appealing to the international community that they should not sit back and watch when there are gross violations, violation of human rights in Kenya. They should support Kenya. They should issue sanctions to various leaders, starting with Ruto himself. Everything that he thought that he has built already has crumbled down just within 2 weeks. Therefore, he should listen to the plight, to the cries of these Kenyans. Any politically arrested person should be and must be released unconditionally. The IG has no mandate, has no locus standi in arresting somebody arbitrarily. And if you arrest somebody, produce that person before a competent court of law. Shadrach Kiprono is still missing. We don't know where he is. The police are keeping him. And for that matter, Shadrach should be released unconditionally.
Yeah.
He's a young man who's still making his life. I was with him at the University of Nairobi. He was 1 year ahead of me. He was in Lower Kabete campus. I was in Chiromo campus. This is a person whom even in campus used to advocate for the rights of comrades. So why should you arrest him now? So I think Ruto is really messing up. And today he has promised that he's going to increase salaries for police officers just because tomorrow there will be demonstrations. And police officers, the same challenges you experience are the same challenges Kenyans are experiencing. The moment you carry that tear gas, the moment you want to kill that Kenyan, think twice because they are fighting for you. The same school fee that you are paying is the same school fee that other Kenyans are paying. The same unga at that price that you are buying it is the same price that any other normal Kenyan is buying it. So therefore, do not be cheated. You've been cheated before that your salary would be increased. They only increased 1,000 for you, of which they were taxing and you are only getting around 400 Kenya shillings. So I can tell you, you are being lied to so that tomorrow you cause mayhem. Do not attempt. Because time will catch up with you. The officers who used to kill people, Ruto already took them to court. The other day, during Uhuru's time, do you remember? That squad that was formed, they are carrying their own crosses. So you will carry your own cross as a police officer. And remember right now, Kenyans know where you stay, Kenyans know your children, Kenyans know your houses. And you are only one person. My friend, do not intimidate people with useless things.
When you were abducted after the last year's maandamano, what did they do to you?
You know, my brother, these people abducted me at 9 p.m. Put me In an international airport, they put me in the boot of a Subaru. They had 4 Subarus, tied my hands, blindfolded me in the boot of a Subaru. Drove around this country. I didn't know where I was. Then put me in a cell somewhere. I didn't know where I was. Then by God's grace, there was one good police officer. And I wouldn't want to disclose this. Who managed to communicate. And by the end of the day, people knew where I was at Wanguru in Mwea.
Kirinyaga.
And you know that cell is a cell where the colonial masters used to put the Mau Mau leaders in that same cell. So the question is, was Babu too big, too huge for these cells that you passed here in Nairobi to go all the way to Mwea, wasting taxpayers' money in terms of fuel, wasting time from my own time and even those officers' time to drive me all around in the name of intimidating me? I want to tell you that in chemistry, they say that impurities increases the boiling point of water. Arresting these people is further increasing the rate of maandamano that will take place tomorrow. So these impurities that they are committing, that they are putting up, will further increase and gravitate and catalyze the rate of the reaction that will take place tomorrow. And for every action, there will be an equal and opposite reaction force.
So that is quite some interesting observation. But then in terms of the deployment, and you've heard what Interior CS Kithure Kindiki has had to say about it. First of all, what do you think about that statement? And he said, provided the protesters, quote unquote, behave.
I think those are roadside declarations made by the CS Interior. We can't treat them seriously. That CS should go to Baringo, manage those bandits in Baringo. These Gen Zs, they are not a problem to this nation. But instead, the executive and some members of the parliament are a big problem to these Gen Zs, to Kenyans. Okay? And therefore, whatever Kindiki said, Kenyans treat it as just a mere statement of puff. Because why are you saying that you will give them direction? Why are you saying that you will show them the way? They know Nairobi. They know where they are going. They are not mad people. These are intellectuals. They know where they will be going. They know that they need to go to parliament. After parliament, they also know the road to State House. They know until back to their houses.
Okay.
They know all these routes. You don't need to show them any route. Police officer, if you are a traffic police officer, simama hapo kwa traffic. If you are posted at the station, kaa hapo kwa station. Kwanza, I want to tell these the Gen Zs that you need to develop, escalate it further, that any person who is arrested, you go and occupy that police station. Go and occupy that police station anywhere in this country. Because we should not joke, we are more than them. And if we are more than them, we should be fearless. The only thing to fear is fear itself. So generally, there's a big problem. And when you asked me what they did to me, they did not produce me before any competent court of law. They put me in a police cell for 3 days, 72 hours. My brother, if I tell you this, without food, incommunicado, no communication, no legal representation. My family members, you saw the way my wife was walking in the dark. Those police officers even beat up my wife, I can tell you. And I'm looking for that officer. And I'm saying it in public. If I find you anywhere, my brother, you've dug your own grave. Because why would
That's
you
quite
violate? It is because they threatened my life. They threatened my life, so I will threaten them.
That's quite... So
Maringa, you cannot purport that the husband of this woman is arrested and then you beat up my wife? As who?
So you had said you'll seek compensation. Did you seek it?
Already I filed for a constitutional petition that I will seek for declaration of violation of my rights, and number 2 for damages and compensation. But that will not be enough.
As a victim or someone who has gone through this, would you be introducing any legislation to be able to curb this or to safeguard Kenyans?
There are enough laws in Kenya already as we speak. The constitution is clear. Article 37. You have a right to picket, to demonstrate. You are being protected by that. That's why any demonstrator, any person demonstrating while presented before a competent court of law, those cases go nowhere because they are unlawful, they are unconstitutional. So there's a law already protecting that. And there's also the rights of an accused person. Okay? That states clearly that an accused person should be told of the reason why they've been arrested.
Yes.
Number 2, the accused person is entitled to legal representation. Number 3, an accused person should be produced before a competent court of law within 24 hours. The only conditions that should make an accused person not be presented before a competent court of law are, number 1, if the members of the public are a threat to the accused person, or number 2, if the accused person is a threat to the national security, or number 3, if the accused person is arrested on a day falling before a public holiday. Or number 4, if an accused person is arrested on a weekend of which they are entitled to a police bond or a police bail.
Yes.
So what are they telling us?
Brilliant. Babu, the discussion is getting quite heated. We can see the feedback on social media. How on earth would a government that purports to support women and youth allocate 182 million for Women Enterprise Fund and 200 million shillings for Uwezo Fund? This country has over 20 million youths and over 20 million women. Yet in their wisdom, Treasury allocates billions for renovation of Statehouse and DP's residence. Willis Agwingi watching from Nairobi. What do you have to say about especially
I can clearly tell you that whatever is being allocated for State House and the Deputy President's office, those are budgeted corruption.
Okay.
Right? That is the money that should be changed. Should be used in construction of industries, promotion of agriculture and the service industries, and also should be given to our young men, our women, at least money to start, as capital to start businesses, right? So this idea of budgeting for corruption is not proper. So it is not in their wisdom. It is in the lack of the same.
Okay.
Yeah, it is not them being wise. It is them being otherwise. That is why they are trying to put those budgets like that and defending them.
Oh, okay.
So it means that there is no respect for the youth in this nation. There is no respect for Gen Z in this nation. There is no respect for our women in this nation. There is no respect for our elderly in this nation. You look at a situation where they were going to even tax pads, my brother. That is loss of dignity to our girls, to our women. Lack of respect to them. They are losing their dignity. Just like that.
Oh, okay.
So it is quite saddening, my brother.
Mheshimiwa, allow us to take a short commercial break and then we'll be back with more. Keep your feedback coming. You're watching the Daily Report. We're still with Mheshimiwa Babu Owino, the Member of Parliament for Embakasi East constituency. Keep your feedback coming.